afternoon. My name is László Grad-Gyenge, and this is the Computer Vision course of the European School of Data Science and Technology. Today I will talk about datasets. And why datasets? Because maybe I told you that machine learning algorithms are trained on data, because their task is to learn the interdependencies of the data that is provided to them. It is very similar how humans work, like how we learned the world around us. So imagine that you were a child or a baby, and your mother just helped you to build the model of your environment, and she said, "Hey, this is an apple." And what she did? She assigned a label to the pixels that represented the picture of the apple in your eye. And this was in the case of the supervised learning, when a label or a real value is assigned to the data. Typically the data is marked with X, and the outcome, the other side, is marked with Y, which is a label in the case of classification, or a real value in the case of regression. The other big class of machine learning is the representation learning, when you do not have labels for the data, and your task is to learn to represent the data in an optimal way by keeping the information content of your data, but representing it with less numbers, with less bytes, let's say. And what do you say? How would you formalize what is relevant, what is information? This is a tricky question, which is not easy to formalize mathematically. I think the best way to do this, to achieve it, is to assign tasks to these algorithms. And if these algorithms manage to solve the tasks in high quality, then we can say that these algorithms manage to represent the data in a proper way. But we will talk about representation learning later. So, as I said, that the first step to do a machine learning project is to acquire data, and it's a good practice to have relevant data on the project. So, for example, I did a lot of machine learning projects, and at first all algorithms worked well in the laboratory, on the data that we had, and then we decided to put it into production, to move it to the client side, and then we experienced that the quality just degraded a bit. And then we analyzed the situation. We discovered that the data that we trained our algorithms on was not relevant. So we collected new data, went back to the lab, and trained the algorithms again. Maybe we involved additional algorithms, but we learned that the key to success is the data that we use to train our algorithms on. And this is a very, very long-lasting process of a machine learning project typically, and you need to plan with a lot of resources. And then you should know that nothing will work first time. If it worked first time, then you are very lucky. And it also means that if you have more data, then you will have better algorithms. And if you have better algorithms, then hopefully you will have a better, more income. In the case you are a good businessman. And what I mentioned when I said that you need relevant data. So maybe you heard about interpolation and extrapolation. So if you do interpolation, then what is the task of this mathematical problem? When you have a set of data points which shows you the interdependencies between x and y, then you have to build a model, let's say a function, that somehow describes the relation between x and y. And if you stay in the domain in x where you have the data from, and you do not go further in any direction, neither to the left nor the right, then you have a higher chance to be accurate, because these points, the data points, will keep you in line. Because if you would do a very bad estimation, then your error would be increasing significantly, and it will stick your model back to the data. But if we talk about extrapolation, extrapolation means that if you try to predict values outside the domain that you have data from, and this is the figure about it, so here you do interpolation and here you do extrapolation. And let's go to the next part, to the annotation. So annotation means that you assign labels to the data. It's a long-lasting, very boring process. This is basically to generate a data set which helps you to do supervised learnings with your algorithms. If you are lucky, then you maybe find already existing data sources, and this is a good idea for starters, for beginners, to look up Kaggle. If you want to participate in a challenge, then you will also find some challenges on Kaggle. And there are also other datasets which are embedded into Python modules. The advantage of using these datasets is that you do not have to bother with collecting, restructuring, analyzing. It's prepared, it's pre-processed, so then you can load it with a single line, and then you can focus on learning machine learning algorithms instead of pre-processing data. Scikit is a famous module of Python. You can find more information about Scikit by clicking on this link. It contains a lot of algorithms already implemented, so the message is that you do not have to implement machine learning algorithms yourself. It's already done by someone else. What can be the problem with datasets? So the first problem that I would like to mention is separability. So if you would like to, for example, classify images or do object detection on images, then you have to provide examples to the algorithm which are not separable and are not joined together, because if you show examples to your algorithm which are not clear or clean, then the algorithm will not have a chance to build a clear decision border. And high dimensionality can also be a problem. I will talk about the curse of dimensionality later. I just would like to mention that data behaves totally differently in high dimension than in low dimension. So if you try to work with high dimensional data, then the first thing to do is to apply representation learning techniques, which is an unsupervised learning, which are unsupervised learning algorithms, in order to reduce the dimensionality of the data. Overlapping classes are also a problem. It's a synonym to separability. So non-clear class borders can degrade the performance of the classifier. And noise is a totally normal issue for real-world data. I work a lot with sensors these times, and but cameras are also sensors, can be treated as sensors, and the natural phenomena of sensors that they add noise to your data, which noise should be processed and hopefully eliminated. Sometimes, if the noise is very big, then it can cause outliers in the data. Outliers are very dangerous to statistical methods because most of the statistical methods work with mean squared error, and if a data is very far from the manifold where the data normally resides at, so it just jumps out, then it will affect the quality of the model. It won't fit the data anymore, but it will fit half the data and half the outlier. So this is why when you pre-process the data, then you should eliminate the outliers from your data. Class imbalance is also an important issue because machine learning algorithms are sensitive on the distribution of the data. Another visualization technique is principal component analysis. So if you want to visualize a data and it's more than 2 dimensions, which is pretty much normal, so we work with high dimensional data, then the data should be reduced to 2 dimensions. And PCA is very common and the most common technique to touch your data for visualization, and there are also other purposes. And it does it it's a linear transformation. It calculates a new coordinate system in a way that it inserts a hyperplane. If we project to 2 dimensions, then it's a plane. It inserts a plane into the space, and then it projects the points to the plane. And the question is how to position this plane. So the answer is that we position this plane in a way that the variance of the projected sample is the highest. There is a technique which is called linear discriminant analysis. Linear discriminant analysis is not a dimension reduction technique, it is a classification technique. But I sometimes do this trick to visualize my data with LDA because the goal of LDA is to create a representation of the sample that supports the linear separability the most. So LDA, when LDA is working, it finds that dimension where the sample separates the most. This is the optimum of this projection, this target, let's say. And there is the next thing which I typically do with data is also about separability. And to do this, I do the trick of involving a classification algorithm, which is the k nearest neighbors, which is a very simple technique. It doesn't build a model, so it doesn't try to draw any decision border. It works purely sample based. And as the goal of classification technique is that if you have a new item, like the green one, then I have to assign a label to it. Is it a blue or is it a red one? And in this case, how KNN works, it draws a circle around the sample. Mathematically, you can say that you look around in the proximity of the sample with a metric, for example, with the Euclidean distance, but let's say that we draw a circle and we count how many times, how many red items are in the circle or how many blue items in the circle. And then we do a majority voting. Or we can say that we order the items in a proximity order and find the 5 closest one, and then we do a majority voting. It depends on the implementation, let's say. So this is what I wanted to tell you today, and next time I will talk about the evaluation. Thank you for the attention.